Potting soil doesn't matter because the secret is that 90% of your success is actually related to the amount of light that your Monstera receives throughout the day. This is not my Monstera, this belongs to my Aunt Hyson, and the only reason it's alive today is because it's right next to her giant west-facing floor-to-ceiling windows. This Monstera gets watered on Friday, regardless of if it needs to or not. It could be still soaking wet, it could be sitting in a pool of water. This gets watered on Friday. My aunt is 90 years old, so she gets a pass. It's fine. Now, I need you to forget anything me or anyone else has ever told you about what kind of soil your Monstera needs. I just need you to remember one fact and two questions. Fact: wet soil for too long kills your Monstera. Question 1, what is my light level? Question 2, how chunky is my soil? You can buy a cheap light meter for around $25 or get a free app on Android or iOS. No more excuses, literally just get a number in FC or Lux. Anything below 100 FC is pretty bad, and anything from the range of 200 to 3000 FC is very good. You can go over 3000 FC if your plant slowly gets used to it, but this is where smaller plants tend to get sunburned if they're put into too much light too quickly. Like right now in this perfectly sunny day, the plant is sitting in around 8 or 9000 FC. So while I repot my aunt's Monstera, let's go through some possible scenarios, thinking about what is my light level and how chunky is my soil. So scenario number 1, what is my light level? So let's just say that you've got a light reading of 150 FC or lower. You've taken a couple readings throughout the day, and that's about as high as it gets. You know that that is not good. And that's not good because if my plant is in low light, it's going to do a pretty bad job of sucking up water. It's going to take a really, really long time. Basically, low light equals slow water uptake. So let's logic our way out of this. What happens if we use potting soil that isn't chunky at all? So we know we have low light, we know we have slow water uptake, and if we go with a really dense potting soil that isn't chunky at all, it's going to hold on to a lot more moisture. So let's go back to our fact, wet soil for too long kills this plant. Nice, channel name, subscribe. So putting a plant that's already in low light in a really dense potting soil that holds on to a lot of water is absolutely going to be a death sentence for this plant. So for me to have a more successful plant in low light, I need to make my soil much more chunky. To do that, I can add bark and perlite because with a less dense peat-based potting soil, it'll hold less moisture. With a chunky mix in low light, my plant might dry out in like a week or two, and it'll be much more healthy that way. So let's say you've been blessed with amazing light, and throughout most of the day, your plant is getting 3,000 foot candles. So high light equals faster water uptake. Let's logic this out again. So I know my light reading is 3,000 foot candles, but how chunky is my soil? Maybe I still want it super chunky. Not necessarily, because I know that if I have a super chunky mix, it doesn't hold on to a lot of water. Now, because I have super high light, my water uptake is already super fast. So this super chunky soil that I'm putting in right now is going to make my plant dry out really, really quickly. Honestly, there are a lot of people who like to be helicopter parents with their plants, but I am not one of those people. You can actually make your soil so chunky to the point where you have to water your plant every other day, and I don't want to do that. So personally, what I would do is work towards making my potting soil just chunky enough so that it dries out within a week or two. Now that might look like 50% peat potting soil and 50% chunky stuff. So by remembering your fact and your two questions, you really start to realize that your potting soil has never been about being the one true mix. It's actually figuring out how often you want to water your plant and then making a soil based on that. Those were two fictional scenarios, so what's the reality? Most of the day, my aunt gets 200 FC from sunrise till about 2 p.m. After 2 p.m., she gets between 6 and 8,000 FC for about 4 hours due to sun coming directly through that window. I would absolutely qualify this as high light, so why am I picking such a chunky potting soil? Remember on Hyacinth, she's 90 years old and Friday is watering day. Do you want to be in the video?
Do I want?
Do you want to be in the video?
No.
Not at all. No, you're not in it right now. If you want to be in it, come on down. You can introduce yourself.
I'm not dressed for that. Save it till another time.
Okay, that's fine.
I won't disturb you.
Okay, I need to pick such a chunky potting soil because I'm trying to get this plant to water out in 6 days so that on the 7th day, it'll be perfectly ready to water again. This is obviously a lot of guesswork, but it does come with experience. I'm taking into account that she doesn't often turn on the air conditioning, so higher temperatures would speed up water uptake. I'm also taking into account that larger plants can stay drier for longer periods of time with less negative consequences than smaller starter plants. I'm taking into account that the plastic pot I'm repotting it into is only 2 inches larger than the original one. I'm taking into account that terracotta releases more water from the plant because it's porous and plastic doesn't. There is no and never will be the perfect potting soil mix with specific percentages of soil, perlite, and bark. What you're really doing is taking perlite and bark and adding it to your potting soil to make it more chunky to suit your lighting needs. But I do reserve the right to remake this entire video and call it "This is the perfect soil for your Monstera," and find a new way to just convince you to take a light reading with a light meter. Absolutely none of this matters if you have no idea how to know when to water your plant next. So check out this video here and I'll show you why that next to a light meter, a wooden stick is the most important plant tool that you'll ever need.